Hello Steelers and welcome to another bench report hobby update. This one obviously slightly belated because I have been away for the last couple of weeks, so I do apologise for that. This is just going to basically bring you up to speed with what I've been doing for the last, well, probably for about the last week really, because I've obviously been working elsewhere over at Otterburn, and I'll get to that. I'll get to that in the fullness of time, of course. But first of all, I have actually managed to get quite a few things painted. The first things that I painted were, well, I actually went back to these old Plastic Soldier Company British Mark IVs and German A7V tanks as well, also German tanks in there as well. These had actually come painted. These were part of the Great War tank expansion, so I dug that out and realised I've got 6 British Mark IVs, I think, and 2 German Mark IVs, and then also the 2 A7Vs as well. So I painted, I basically, years ago I gave them a very quick coating and a bit of mud and things, but this time I just went back and just added a few more bits and pieces and also some bases onto these tanks as well. Just to finish them off and use them in things like Through the Mud and the Blood and also Square Bashing and other First World War games as well. They're kind of sitting in the box and not really doing anything for years, so I thought, well, let's dig them out and do something with them. And also that led me on as well to messing about with the Plastic Soldier Company Whippets as well, which they also released around the same time that they put out the Great War expansion. So there's 3 of these. Again, these had kind of been painted previously in very rough colours, but I just added a little bit more dirt and stuff, and then also, you know, tarted the tank, the tracks and things, and then again just added some bases as well, just to make them a little bit more different. I then also turned my attention back to the French for the First World War and for the Through the Mud and the Blood. It's been a very First World War themed week's worth of painting. This time it was just a few extra figures as well from the first set that I got from Peter Pig. I also added a couple of big men as well, just to give me a little bit more choice as well with these. So that's just finish those off nice and quick. I am going to do a painting guide at some point on French infantry because I've got some more, which I'll talk about in a second. But also the other big thing as well that I painted were the 2 French tanks that I also got from Plastic Soldier Company, which had been released. You can still get these as the box set. They're a bit pricey. It's about 16 quid for 2 tanks, which is quite a lot, but they are really nice models. And I painted these. I did these in typical French First World War camouflage. I've also done a painting guide as well, filmed one of these for the Saint-Chamond, the bigger of the 2 tanks. So that will be coming. It's scheduled for October, so keep an eye out for that. I did actually also write about it as well, because I went into I started thinking about how long it actually takes to make these videos, or the painting videos in particular. And that one, I wrote a community post about it. So if you go onto the channel and check the community tab, you'll find the post. It's quite a recent one, and I was just talking about the different aspects of actually making a video. And it turns out it was about 9 hours work for about a 10-minute long video. So about, basically, for every minute of screen time it's about an hour or so. So it's a long process. I would just wish there was a quicker way to do it, apart from farming it out to editors, but I don't want to do that. Anyway, back on painting desk. The last thing I painted as well were also these dug-in Panthers. I'd got these from a chap called GPD. They're available on eBay. I'll stick a link down in the comment in the description down below. Dex had actually turned me onto these in the first place, and I thought, well, you know, I haven't got any dug-in Panthers. It's a better way of getting these rather than buying. You can buy them, you know, just Plastic Soldier Company ones or Battlefront, and then just not use the bottom half. But I thought that's quite a waste of a tank, so I thought, well, I may as well just get these. They're done and they're simple, very easy, very nice. And I just added a load of shrubbery and things just to make them look as though they've been camouflaged as well, just to really pep them up. So yeah, as I say, I've been away, so I've not got a huge amount of stuff in the post. I've got some bits and pieces. The first thing really was this crashed Newport 17. This came from Brigade Models. This is again part of their 15mm First World War 3D printed range. So I'm going to get this painted up at some point. It's just going to be a terrain piece, so a little bit of cover for crossing no man's land or something like that. I thought that's quite nice. It's only undercoat at the moment, I haven't done anything else with it. The other thing as well I got were the IMB Shopmum cards from the Prince's Studio. These are the ones that I designed, but are based on the original IMB Shopmum cards, which you just can't get for love nor money anymore. You have to make your own from the downloaded printable ones. I just thought I'd do these. Again, I'll put the link in the description for these. You'll need both sets. They are quite pricey, I've got to say that, but once you bought them, you don't need them again. You don't need to buy them again, that's it. You can just buy them and they're done. So I've got those as well. So I'm looking forward to playing IMB Shopmum. I've decided next week at the club. I've asked Dex if he fancies a game, I've asked Dean if he fancies a game, and Simon has also stepped up and said he'd fancy a game as well of IMB Shopmum. So I will umpire it and I'll take the guys through the first scenario north of Cannes next week. So that should be good fun. I'm looking forward to it. It's a great game, IMB Shopmum, and I do always enjoy it. It's nice to get other people into it as well. So yeah, the other thing as well that came through was Jeremy Fitch also sent me a load of Battlefront First World War British figures. I've got them in here, so thank you very much for that, Jeremy. I think it's like a platoon pack or something from Battlefront. So there's a couple of, I can see there's a couple of LMG guys in there, a couple of other bits and pieces. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with them yet, but they will be very useful for extra figures, or maybe even the start of a third platoon for my Through the Mud and Blood stuff. So Jeremy, if you are watching, thank you very much for that, really appreciate it. It's always good to give old figures a new home, isn't it? The other thing I got as well is, you can see here, a few bits here on the desk already. I've started with it. This is a Peter Pig selection of First World War French stuff. So I just went and I got a load of things. So I've got some flamethrowers, I've got some dead French, I've got some surrendering French, I've got some trench raiders, I also got some gun crew and a 75mm fast firing weapon as well as part of that. I also got a couple of Hotchkiss guns as well, machine guns, and their 37mm trench gun as well, which I've got here. And then I also got a couple of special packs of figures for crew and things. So I just got single poses for guys kneeling. These are actually Second World War French figures, but once they're painted like the First World War ones, you just won't notice at all. The only difference, literally, from what I can see, the only difference in the uniform, by and large, apart from the colour, the cut of it is pretty similar, is the gas mask. And because he's kneeling, you can't see it anyway, so, you know, I defy anybody to point out the missing gas masks on the 15mm figures at 3 foot away. So yeah, that's really been about it for painting and in the post. So a few bits coming, not a huge amounts, but you know, bits and pieces as always. Whilst I was away up at Otterburn, I saw my boss, Richard Osgood, and he gave me a copy of his new book, Broken Pots Mending Lives, The Archaeology of Operation Nightingale. Now this is one of the projects that I'm involved in at work. Operation Nightingale is where we take veterans suffering from things like PTSD and other physical and mental injuries from combat and introduce them to archaeology as a pathway to recovery. This book covers mostly Richard's works that he's done down on Salisbury Plain and also over at Bullecourt, which I've been involved with, you may remember from other things. Gotta say, I am mentioned in it, I'm even in the index, but go and check it out. Again, I'll put a link to the Amazon sales for this down, and all proceeds that Richard gets for this go to SAFA, which is the soldiers charity as well, so it's worth buying just for that. But it's a really interesting book, absolutely beautifully illustrated, with lots of the photos by Harvey Mills, who's a chum of mine, and he takes some fantastic pictures. Really good, interesting stuff in there. So it's a mix of veterans welfare, archaeology, history, and even the Ministry of Defence archaeology as well. So well worth the money, and as I say, it goes to a good cause. So what can you do really? What can't you do? Go and buy it. And as I say, I make no proceeds out of it. I'm just, I might get a, I might get a raise. Never going to happen. The other thing I got as well, whilst I was away up in Alnwick, we went to the massive bookstore that's up there in Alnwick, and I picked up this, a copy of The West, an illustrated history by Geoffrey C. Ward. It says co-author of the Civil War, with a preface by Stephen Ives and Ken Burns. So I'm sure you all know from the Civil War documentary. I just wanted something light and easy to read. It's an introductory book with lots of photos in it. I'm really quite interested in the West, and always have been ever since I was a kid. I used to have a lot of cowboy books when I was a nipper. I also have read things like Bury My Heart's Wounded Knee and that kind of stuff as well. What I'm particularly interested in the West and in America itself is the origin story almost, or at least the European origin story rather than anything else. What I mean is like the Spanish conquistadores coming up from Mexico into Texas, well, into Florida and up into the south of North America, and that is covered in this book, and it's very, very interesting, to see how those guys got on completely alien new land they were in, with people already living there who were, for the most part, at least originally, treating them with respect and being very helpful. Not that they got it in return, but yeah, so. Interesting book, and as I say, it was about, I think, about £5 or £8 or something like that. So I thought, well, I'll get that to me as well. I haven't really had a chance to play a great deal of things, but we did play up at Otterburn. I introduced a couple of lads to Undaunted. We managed to get a couple of games of Undaunted Normandy in, also Undaunted North Africa and Undaunted Battle of Britain. And my pal Dickie has now gone off and bought Battle of Britain and has been playing it with his girlfriend down in Yeovil. And he was looking for wargaming groups as well down there. So if you do know of any down in Yeovil, let me know in the comments, and I'll put him in touch with the groups, and he can get involved. I mean, at this point he's only playing Undaunted, but I'm fairly sure his head could quite easily be turned to tabletop wargaming, so especially historical stuff. Just to mention, he's an ex-Royal Marine Sergeant as well, so he knows his stuff. So we played that, and that was good fun, as always. It's a great game anyway, and I have actually been playing the digital version of it as well. I've gone all the way through the first, I think it's 14 scenarios that are on the digital version. I've done those as the Americans. I've yet to do as the Germans. I just bought that just as I left. I can't remember if I mentioned that in the last updates. I possibly did. So I mentioned that, yes, I was over at Otterburn. We were excavating up there for 2 weeks as part of Operation Nightingale. We uncovered a prehistoric working floor, or possibly a dwelling, possibly, most likely Iron Age, early 1st, 2nd century, we think, from the dates that we got last year. But we opened up another area as well, of a bank with a load of tumbled stone on it. We're not entirely sure what this stuff is just yet, but it will be interesting, I should say, if we are able to get back there at some point in future. We had, I think, six or seven veterans with us, and hundreds of local volunteers from the Reedsdale Archaeological Group, and everybody got on really, really well, and I really enjoyed it. It's probably one of my favourite Operation Nightingale projects, apart from it within England that I've within Britain that I've done, should I say, because I mean, my favourite is Bullecore, but within Britain at least, I think that's my favourite. And yes, it was real good fun. Everybody got on, despite bad weather in the first week. We had great weather in the second week, and found some interesting bits and pieces. It's a really interesting site, and as I said, there's a hell of a lot more to do up there at some point in the future. I'm just not sure when. Hopefully it will continue. And I think, oh yes, and the other thing was the chief executive of DIO, who I work for, Defence Infrastructure Organisation, also came out for a visit as well, which is when I saw Richard and he gave me the book. So it was nice to meet him, my big boss. So it was good to meet him as well, and I think he enjoyed himself, and I think he really enjoyed seeing what we were up to as well out there. So yeah, everything is pretty good, I think. And I think that's about all I've got to say this week. This has come on actually a lot longer than I thought it was going to. I thought it'd be quite a short one, this, but it hasn't been. Hope you've enjoyed it, as always. If you have, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed to the channel, and also check out the rest of the channel for more videos as well, like this and other things. Alright, I'll leave it at that and say thank you once again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.